r/Askreddit by Robotainment. With all of the negative headlines dominating the news these days, it can be difficult to spot signs of progress. What makes you optimistic about the future? The plummeting price of solar and wind energy. Edit. Thanks for the gold. I will be investing it in solar. I mean, I haven't heard much about ISIS recently. That's gotta be a good sign. They no longer control anything meaningful anymore. They're just your garden variety terrorist group now. Should we start calling them waswas? Holy fuck. This post was made 7 minutes ago and already has 300 comments. But anyway, every day we get closer and closer. Med.Stanford.edu link to a cure for cancer. My mum told me about her diagnosis on Sunday. Both of her parents died of cancer too, 12 years apart. Hopefully in the near future, it's something we won't have to worry about. It's because Oppa's Bill Gates. Best of luck to your mum. That we're almost at the point where we get artificial organs. I could use a kidney. Edit. Guys, thanks a lot for your support, understanding and most of all the selfless offers you've made. Belletta kidney or info. I love you all. Edit 2. I wish I could share some resources on how to be a living donor. If someone could help me in that front, so I could share it here. I'm not from the States and I don't know where to start. This is the most humbling experience I've had on Reddit yet. Edit 3. Thanks to /u/Ragnaracus for this resource on living donation. Organdana.gov link. And to /u/Tambourine Time for this other resource. Please, if you're thinking of donating, have a look at these resources. www.AmericanTransplantFoundation.org link. I might get some laser eyes. Since 1990 the number of children who die before their 5th birthday has been cut in half, saving 122 million young lives. Point 2 in the same period, the fraction of people living in extreme poverty has gone from 1/3 to 1/10. Point 3 more than 90% of children now attend primary school worldwide. Point 4. Women now make up more than 1/5 of members of parliaments around the world. Point 5 workplace and road safety in the US has risen dramatically since our grandparents' time. Edit. I stole these from this article entitled, Bill Gates. Here are 5 reasons to be optimistic about 2018. www.incorporated.com link. This has probably been my finest moment this year. You just gave Bill Gates an answer from Bill Gates. The possible return of the American chestnut tree. Fast growing, rot resistant, and, perhaps most important, it produces enough calories from the nuts to feed a population. Edit. It turned out that someone from WBUR in Boston saw the interest in this post and wrote an article and made a podcast about it. It's very good. That old chestnut. www.wber.org link. The death of the American chestnut is also partially responsible for the severity with which the Great Depression struck Appalachia. Chestnuts were a primary food supply for backup reserves in the form of herds of pigs that were allowed free roam. The pigs could be sold or slaughtered to keep families afloat during hard times. The disappearance of the chestnuts killed the viability of the pig herds, causing the economic failsafe to collapse ecologically. At the same time that the Great Depression made monetary reserves worthless. All 7 of my honeybee colonies are currently surviving the winter, and today they're bringing in the first pollen of the year. Edit. Also, please support native bees for why and how at home. Check out Bringing Nature Home by Douglas Tallamy, as well as butterflies like the monarch, and bats. Advancements in medicine and gene therapy. The CRISPR technology has me very excited. Also, the James Webb Space Telescope is going to bring about many new discoveries. I'm reminded of Sam's speech to Frodo in Osgiliath in the Two Towers. It's like in the great stories Mr. Frodo point the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't, because they were holding on to something, that there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. Watched LOTR trilogy last weekend and those movies are full of great scenes and quotes. I love those movies. I love that Moria scene. www.youtube.com link. Many that live deserve death. And some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Followed by F. I wish none of this had happened. G. So do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. Advancements in health studies and science for health has improved living conditions tenfold and continue to do so. So that makes me pretty optimistic. No one lives forever, no one. But with advances in modern science and my high level income, it's not crazy to think I can live to be 245, maybe 300. Eater. This is a quote from Talladega Nights. I'm not being serious. Mental illness awareness is growing rapidly, and people are more and more willing to assist those in need. Not only that, but people with mental illness are become less and less ashamed of said illnesses and actually seeking out help. Stigma goes both ways. Edit. Stop bringing up gun politics on my comment, you goddamned vultures. I'm going to nursing school, and every time I hear about the advances in the medical field I get excited. Japan just approved a medicine that they claim can cure the flu in one day. The merging of medicine and technology is extremely fascinating. I saw a video of a prototype that was virtual scan of someone's body, inside and out. You could remove organs and see what was under them. If that can catch on, it will dramatically help surgeons plan for more successful outcomes. Edit to add video of scanner. Yahoo.b link point and link for flu drug. abnews.go.com link. I have a neuropace in my brain to help control seizures. Responsive neurostimulation. I'm on the first few steps of transhumanism, and I wake up every day realizing that this cutting edge technology in my skull will one day be the peg leg of neurological procedures. Press forth, my friend. I quit smoking today. Hi Bill, I think we're making great progress with renewable energy, and I'm hopeful that my children's generation will have a chance to fix the mess we made. Shared collaborative projects like Wikipedia proving that people are inherently good. Wikipedia, you're welcome, college students. As someone with mental health issues, I love that the field is getting more attention and there's becoming less of a stigma of having a mental illness. A relative of mine checked into a mental hospital yesterday for depression and bipolar disorder. The amount of support he received from friends and family was very encouraging. The increasing easiness of traveling anywhere in the world. Edit. This Yahoo.b link is what I'm looking forward to. Also, nice optimism you got there, you Reddit bastards. Space. So much is unknown right now. Excited to see what can come in the future. Watched Falcon Heavy launch the other week, and was amazed for the first time in a long time. The good news is often quiet and subtle. The bad news is always loud. I try to remember that. Our headlines are splashed with crime, yet for every criminal there are 10,000 honest, decent, kindly men. If it were not so, no child would live to grow up. Business could not go on from day to day. Decency is not news. It is buried in the obituaries, but is a force stronger than crime. People here are talking about cancer cure here. Stanford medicine made the biggest breakthrough in history just last month. They cured 90 out of 90 infected mice with different kinds of cancers with just one shot of medicine. Med.stanford.edu link. Ah man, I got cancer. Can't come to work today, boss. That every day millions of people go to work in order to provide for their families, come home, talk about inane things, etc. The world over consists mostly of people with similar wants and similar needs, no matter from where they hail or what they look like, and the vast majority of the time it just works underscore one tiny lapse in coordination, and it could all come crumbling down, but mostly the world marches on. It's a brilliant blue ball of common humanity, and it pays to remember sometimes that for all that's horrible in the world, we're surrounded by a lot of good. SpaceX. The Musk. My dog, mainly. Picture or no pup. Top ever comment on puppas. No regrets. I'm optimistic that the younger generation is more progressive than my father's was. This is what keeps me going from day to day. The older generation seems to be less progressive, but that hasn't stopped the younger generation from being even more rezo. I have a feeling that people like Elon Musk are going to inspire a new wave of wonderful young people to do great things. People are beginning to realize that things don't change on their own. More people are taking action to help out and change the world as a whole. Solar energy plus desalination plus gene therapy. Using gene therapy to build a human that can drink salt water and use sunlight like a plant. Yes, I wait the day as well. The fact that humanity is getting another mini space race going on. I'd love to see a man set foot on Mars in my lifetime. That, and of course just getting to spend time with all my friends, to play Dungeons and Dragons every week. Edit. I'm fine with my top comment being about D&D in space. Let's do D&D in space, boys. Reruns of Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers. Got drunk one night and watched some Bob Ross on Netflix, and it was a revelation, man. It's impossible to feel bad when you're watching him paint. So much joy. I guess that's why they called it the joy of painting. Understanding of history. We are at a certain point in time during which we are well aware of what happened in the past. This is a newly available, highly useful feature of our generation. Hopefully it lasts censorship. Check out the following YouTube channels: Crash Course World History, Extra Credits, Historia Civilis, World War I channel. I love you back, not a channel, but I'm really feeling your comment. Bee population is on the rise. If we could work together to save the bees, we can deal with climate change. My students. They handle a complex, globally interconnected society in ways my generation undergraduate at university in the 1970s couldn't hold a candle to. Any color, any sexual orientation, any disability, any nationality, it's all good, so long as they're not an asshole. We may be approximating Dr. Martin Luther King's hope for a world where people are judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. As someone who has lost loved ones to cancer, this medpoint.stanford.edu link. I have been recently diagnosed with stage 2 astrocytoma cancer of the brain and spinal cord. Studies like this make me happy for our younger generations, that they might not have to see so much suffering. Thank you for sharing. I needed a lift up and you provided. I'm very sorry for your losses. Be well and eat those veggies. Marijuana legalization for the USA, which will reduce crime and non-violent offenders in prison, as well as a host of other widespread positive effects. Seriously, someone close to me lives in near constant pain. I'm absolutely certain that marijuana would help her, but it's still illegal in my state. My hope and dream is that in 10 years weed would be legal in all 50 states. Your work, giving away so much money, is truly commendable, and I thank you for it. The better angels of our nature, and the fact a billionaire has a platform to communicate 1v1 with everyday people. Thank you, Reddit. /r/uplifting news exists, and it still gets content. We should be circulating good news, rather than constantly refreshing bad news. Usually those headlines bring you down, while bringing you up. Dog recovers from years of abuse. Mother jailed after torturing children. The kids from the school shooting fighting back against the NRA and gun-toting government officials. It makes me hopeful that younger generations like my own can actually make change happen. It makes me hopeful that younger generations like my own can actually make change happen. Ah yes, I remember Occupy Wall Street. Fond memories. A lot of people are saying SpaceX and Elon Musk without really expanding, so I will. Commercial spaceflight. It's literally here right now, but it's going to get even cheaper in the future. The next step will be space tourism, but that won't be accessible to the average person for a few decades at least. Space construction. We've already done this with space stations, but cheaper commercial spaceflight will encourage larger buildings in space. Instead of launching completed modules, like we have in the past, we're going to be launching subdivisions of modules that will dwarf even the ice. I'm incredibly optimistic about whatever happens to be the next ice. Asteroid mining. This one we probably won't see in our lifetimes, unless the futurists are right, and the first person to live to 200 is alive today. However, the potential of asteroid mining is astronomical. There are individual asteroids with more platinum and tungsten on them than the entire Earth has available. Once we have these materials in excess, who knows what new developments we'll see. Aluminum used to be exceedingly difficult to refine and rare. Once a reliable refining process was developed, we found a myriad of uses for aluminum that changed the world. I predict we'll see similar benefits from improved access to rare metals found abundantly in asteroids. Space tourism. Now that we've got commercial spaceflight and space construction is on the horizon, space tourism will become a booming industry. I'd be excited to spend a week on a luxury space station in the future. Mars, we're definitely going at some point, whether it is publicly or privately funded. I doubt there are any monsters there, or that we'll have any visitors forced to grow potatoes with their excrement. However, Mars is the next logical destination for humanity's domination of the solar system. I hope I live to see the first colonization effort. In a strange way, the influence of Donald Trump, although him being POTUS is a huge step back, his unpopularity is actually forcing people to unite and take action. For instance, the election of Donald Trump has motivated me to start participating more in US politics and ensure I'm not the only one. As a European, I'm also thankful for Trump. His insanity made many people here reconsider their voting strategies. Elections in the Netherlands and France happened quite soon after Trump's election and didn't do Geert Wilders' Freedom Party or Le Pen's Front National far-right parties in NL and FR respectively any good. Also, Europe has stepped up its game and the EU is much more popular among the constituent voters also thanks to Brexit. The growing acceptance of people who are different. It might be a long slow battle, but we are moving in the right direction. The fact that Bill fucking Gates is taking the time to make an Askreddit thread. My Girl Scout troop. They bring me hope that the future generation gives a shit. And they also give us Thin Mints and Samoas. This is the most peaceful time in human history, and it is getting better. RuneScape Mobile. Most countries are steadily but surely moving upwards on the Human Development Index. Endpoint Wikipedia.org link. This change isn't very noticeable on a day-to-day basis, but over the course of decades the world is empirically becoming a better place. Not just in Western Europe, or in the prosperous bits of China, but in places like sub-Saharan Africa which are throwing aside the historical weight of colonialism, civil war, dictatorships, and genocides to become better places for people to live out their lives. The fact we still are allowed to have negative headlines. This comment is very underrated. As long as the bad news are still news, it's all good. The constant technological advancement we're seeing right now, especially in fields like medicine. Elon Musk. Really sorry Mr. Gates. Mr. Gates' contributions to the world aren't as flashy. XD. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Internet forums like Reddit, where a one-line question can pump out 1,000 nice answers ranging from global improvements to cat pictures in 30 minutes. Also, my children and how they already have it better than I did when I was young. Even though I didn't have that much problems back then either. Keep on rocking as a great man, Bill. More people are actually choosing to believe proven sciences. How intelligent our younger generation is shaping up to be. Whether it be the students protesting or figures like Malala and other children. I think our future is in safe hands. My youngest daughter will be a senior next year. I have never seen a better group of young adults. They are incredibly talented, socially mature, and academically competitive. Most of them will graduate with a 4.0 or above. Social media blew up and handed them a platform when they were in middle school, and the result, despite what my generation seems to think, is a generation of concise and fiercely relevant individuals with more communication skills than any of the generations that have come before. The fact that they can see through the BS and get to the truth gives me hope. Whenever there's a grim news story I always remember Mr. Rogers' mother's advice. I look for the helpers. It's a great reminder that people are inherently good and human ingenuity will get us where we need to go, eventually. Dude fucking everything. Over the last 200 years the world has gone from 90% living on $1 a day or less to 90% living on $1 a day or more year $200 We haven't had a war between major powers in 70 years. High-speed internet and 4G cell services available freaking everywhere. You can take a cruise around the world for only $2,500. There's an opiate that's 100 times more powerful than heroin and you can buy it on any street corner for $15. The world is completely wonderful right now. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out October 23rd. Everyone needs to chill out. One thing is not like the others. People like you. People who don't hoard, but you saw the success Thief achieved to boost up others. The Pope seems to be a pretty decent fellow considering his religious views. Would be nice if most churches went that route, and if he continued to push for the changes he seems to be trying to make. For a long time I've been watching the Satanic Temple use religion to draw attention to poorly written laws. Israel is now a net exporter of fresh water due to desalination technology. I'm 3 months pregnant after the second round of IVF. The fact that my wife and I are going to have a baby together makes me ridiculously optimistic about our future. Much to the amazement of the trauma surgeons who first received me at the hospital after I'd been found on the side of the road with a face full glass, after being on the receiving end of a hit and run. I'm not brain dead, brain damaged, quadriplegic, paraplegic, nor did they even have to make me an amputee. I'm learning to walk again. The future is looking good. Until I have to go through that sad again, that is. Edit. Before. Imgur.com link 3 months after. Imgur.com link. My new worst case scenario is I need to sell some of my new titanium parts for scrap metal. Electric vehicles plus highly autonomous driving equals cleaner, safer mobility for everyone, including the handicapped, the elderly, and the developing world. Electricity is cleaner than IC engines. Or, do you trogs know of any power plants running on a bunch of Chevy 350s? That video of a crow and a kitten who are friends. The fact that fewer people are taking socialists and SJWs seriously. Edit. Thanks fellow redditor. Several nations have pledged to move away from fossil fuels toward renewable alternatives. Donald Trump. Human suffering is slowly but surely being reduced as we progress through time. Just gotta focus on keeping that up. That Americans help each other in times of crisis. Where there are natural disasters, there are brave people wading into floodwaters to form a human chain. There are people who will run into a burning building to get everyone out safely. There are people volunteering to search for a missing child. There are people who will give you the shirt off of their backs. Americans have more in common than we have in conflict. We want to live our lives in safety without anyone telling us how to live. We want our children to have more opportunities than we had. We want to spend time with our loved ones, those people who celebrate our victories and prop us up when we can't do it ourselves. We are easily divided by philosophical differences on a broad scale, but on an individual level, Americans help one another. We need to build on that and de-emphasize the differences. I like how the younger generation is actually paying attention to politics. When I was a kid we didn't really care that much, like we just had a president and that was it. Nobody else really mattered. Now we're paying attention to the connections of politics and policies, and seeing how the implications of the laws that are being passed are affecting all Americans, and not just people or businesses that we don't care about. While things may be bad right now, we're definitely preparing ourselves to be civically minded and to be future oriented and to be considerate of what we can do as soon as the wheel turns and it's our time to shine. The high school activism that's occurring in response to the Parkland school shooting gives me hope for the future. Yes, slacktivism in the form of a 17-minute walkout during school. True social reform. Those woolly high school students. As awful that this may sound, the knowledge that in the near future, the current closed-minded politicians that help to create some of this bad news may be replaced with more open-minded ones. It's got nothing to do with conservative vs liberal and everything to do with as new information is garnered. Someone should be both willing and able to change their mindset to accommodate the new information. The partisan closed-mindedness that has historically existed in previous generations of politicians and people alike seems to be lessened in upcoming generations. Who knows, it may bite us, but the potential for change is exciting. Even with all the negative happening in the world, I'm always glad to see the number of people who still stay positive and try anything to better themselves, to better their community, to better mankind, try to fight, even though the odds are against them. Even if it's just to let those who would hold us down, or hold us back, that we will not stay quiet, we will not last down and take it. This is our world. All of us. I just saw this article this morning. Electricity usage is completely flat, and in some areas utilities will sell less electricity than 10 years ago. That's on top of rapidly increasing renewable sources. www.vox.com link. I'm hopeful that Microsoft will one day bring Clippy back into Microsoft Word. I'm a millennial, and it seems like a lot of our generation works retail or some other low-paying job that has somewhat high amounts of stress. This results in most of us having empathy for other people in positions like these, and I see that we try to treat service workers and ultimately other human beings as such. The progress of esports has been nothing short of amazing in the last 25 years, and has ramped up considerably in the last 5 to 10. The way Twitch has catered to normalizing and mainstreaming the act of watching other people play video games has led to the competition on the world scale intensifying so strongly and rapidly. This has started to lead to huge compensation. There was a post, www.reddit.com link yesterday detailing the crazy numbers. 150k average to 327k in 1 year. Players are starting to demand from leagues offering a steady salary, a better source of cash flow than tournament winnings and sponsorships. Here's the real answer though. Esports is one of the only true international sporting platforms. An online stream can be caught from any corner of the world with an internet connection. Anyone with access to games can learn the dynamics and flow and rhythm that define the game. Games bypass the language barrier. Another important thing to consider is that esports caters much less to physical genetics. Time spent honing your skills benefit you exponentially more than a couple of inches. This allows an unparalleled level of inclusion and diversity that sports like American football and basketball can never hope to adopt. Essentially, as the proliferation of esports becomes wider and wider, the payouts bigger and bigger, and the competition fiercer and fiercer, the real winner is humanity. It shows how everyone across the world can harness competition in a way that entertains, enriches, excites, and most importantly includes. It brings us all together in a way that celebrates the best of humanity like the Olympics. They provide hope that we can come together for things that matter to us on an individual level. I think it's impossible to see what we will think about this in 50 years, let alone more. Working with people directly, I noticed a lot of them are good, generous, honest, and benevolent people. These people give me the drive I need to handle things, because I know we can shape a better future for the people, animals, and the planet. Also puppy gifs. Younger people generally have more empathy than the generations before them. That's a huge simplification, but on the whole it's true. Virtual reality hentai. The thing I feel most optimistic about the future is how we've become more aware about what's going on around us. It's become more difficult for certain issues to not be spoken about, and now we're able to discuss openly about different things. The only hurdle around this is false information. Democracy is about openness. Without that, it can make certain issues difficult to tackle. We need to work together with one another to be able to get things done, address important issues, and be able to find solutions. Things cannot always be done if we expect others to do it for us. It's an equal game. That Donald Trump could be re-elected. This thread was made by Bill Gates. This thread makes me optimistic. The kids rising up in Florida to the lawmakers. The number of hours of work required for people to earn enough money to purchase enough calories to sustain themselves continues to diminish. Trump 2020. Medical science breakthroughs in Alzheimer's and dementia, refocusing on space exploration. The future applications of automation and 3D printing, our increasing ability to share more complex ideas over greater distances in shorter spans of time. ITER, renewable energy. Realizing that Bill Gates is the op, meaning we can have personal conversations with people who used to be outside our reach. The world is getting smaller. Ultrasound with the wife Thursday. Recently, a possible cure for cancer was created, eliminating all cancer in 100% of tested mice, and is about to move forwards into human trials. The millennials, able to harness the internet and the free passage of knowledge to empower the disadvantaged and push for proactive public policy on issues like gun violence, globalization, global warming, and equality. It makes me happy that Barack Obama plans his post-presidency in investing in the young leaders of America. It makes me proud that the students of Stoneman Douglas High are fighting for the students of all of America. I'm optimistic because the youth of America are fighting for the soul of America, while Gen X lowers taxes and increases spending to put the burden on America on us. I think we will take the mantle and become better from the mistakes of our forefathers. 2 things. Point 1, that companies like SpaceX have started us looking spaceward again. I honestly believe that our species' future lies out there, and any move in that direction is a good thing. Point 2, that in any disaster, no matter the cause, be it accident, deliberate, or natural, the majority of people will try to help. We see it all the time, and although it often gets overshadowed in the news by the tragedy itself, it's worth remembering. Like and subscribe for good luck, you handsome gentlemen.